Okay, I'm in a mood to experiment tonight, so let's go with, let's make potato chips. What the hell? In the air fryer. All right, so in a mandolin sort of mood. So we're going to just mandolin us some nugget potatoes. A little worried about this because I'm not using the guard. And when I don't use the guard, I cut the ends of my fingers off. All right, that should be enough for one experiment. The thing to do now is to rinse these off and wash the starch off of them. And we'll do this a few times until the water's clear. Okay, so we've washed the starch off our chips, crisps. Not quite sure how these are going to turn out, so we'll come up with a name with them after they're done. So now we're going to dry them off. We're just going to place them on a paper towel to dry them off. I have to admit, it's already looking like more work than I'm willing to go through for potato chips. But like I said, I was in an experimental mood tonight. And for some reason, I've been thinking about these. Now that I've dried my potatoes off and preheated my air fryer to 200 degrees Celsius, I'm going to spray some olive oil on these and a bit of seasoning and put them in the air fryer. And for seasoning, I'm going to, of course, use black pepper. And I use black pepper on everything. Then I'm going to use tomato powder, which my friend Sean made me. And if you care, leave in the comments and I'll explain what this is. And then just a touch of seasoning salt. And we're going to throw the first batch in the air fryer. Because I'm going for maximum crispiness, I'm laying them out flat like this and not crowding my air fryer. After a couple runs, I might find out if I can crowd them more because they'll dry out as they're cooking. Anyway, in goes the first batch. Okay, here's the first batch. I would consider it a failure. They came out crispy, but basically you had to go in and mess with them about every minute because as soon as the fan started up, it just blew them all over the place and they didn't stay flat. So laying them out flat was useless. My air fryer came with these dehydrating racks, so I'm going to try those next. Also, it allows me to do 2 levels. The tray helped. They don't get blown around as much. The top layer gets blown around, but a lot of them land on the bottom and it stops it from clumping. And the second layer turns out pretty good. So I think experiment number 3 is going to be just putting chips on the bottom layer and then putting the top rack on top to hold them down from blowing all over the place. So what I noticed with the last batch using 2 racks is the ones on top got blown around, but the ones that blew to the bottom actually turned out perfect, and the ones on the second rack didn't turn out bad. So what I'm doing this time is I have a layer on the very bottom. a layer on the second rack, and the top rack's just being used to stop them from blowing around. And we'll see how this works out. So the last method I would consider a success. The second row, or the top layer, came out like this, and the rack stopped them from blowing around. And the bottom layer came out like this, because the rack above it stopped them from blowing around. But I will have to say, overall, while you can do it this way, you're better off to just use a tray and an oven, unless you want to actually use a real deep fryer.